Okay, so a continuance. I spoke to the lady. She asked me how I was doing. Me, honestly, not being sarcastic, I said I'm hanging in there. I'm getting by. Um, Trying to do as best as I can. I just had surgery a week ago. She said okay, and so I, explained to her the dynamics of the situation, that I currently reside in Charlotte, North Carolina. That I'm going through some housing issues, and so therefore I don't have an direct address, but I do have a P.O. box where I do intercept mail, and I'm trying to go ahead and apply for disability because I was informed to go ahead and at least start this process. So she went ahead and took my information, confirmed address, name, all this other stuff, and said that she set me up for an interview, that they will do the intake over the phone, which is fine. We'll do the intake over the phone within the next 2 weeks. And then she gave me the time slots. Okay, so boom, we were done. So I went into another situation where I had received a letter. I had 3 children at one point. I don't care. We're gonna be honest here. I had 3 children that was getting disability at one time throughout the course of them growing up, for various health reasons that they had, that um, through the course of time, it either had me where I was not able to work because I was constantly taking them to and from the doctor, or they had been in the hospital, or they had to have surgery, whatever the case may be. This is what happened. I had one that was a preemie, so he qualified for disabilities because he was a preemie. The other one, he had to have a feeding tube. He was failure to thrive. And the other one, who is now deceased, he was actually deaf in one ear. He actually had to have surgery to remove all of the middle ear. So he was completely deaf in his right ear. Couldn't hear nothing, nada, after 10 surgeries. Okay. So I received a letter from my youngest son in the mail about a year ago about potentially overpayment, because they deemed him not disabled anymore, and they was wanting this money back. Well, in 2019, he and my mother had a disagreement, and when teenagers are smelling themselves, they do the most. So he somehow got up with this woman who was supposed to be a friend of the dad's side of the family, and somehow was able to get to the high school where they were attending schools, get copies of their transcripts and shot records and stuff, and went to Social Security and got Social Security switched in her name as the beneficiary and the payee. Of course, nobody want to own up to it. Small town. I'm from Florence, South Carolina. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and state that here. So I'm trying to find out where this payout, this extra overpayment is coming from, because when the children were deemed ineligible, I left it at that. However, this woman went to Social Security and was able to say, well, can we get a second of opinion? Can I go ahead and still be receiving payments until we get that done? I had to go back up here. Once it was brought to my attention what had happened, I had to go back up here to Florence, switch it back over, having me as the payee, so on and so forth. So come to find out, before I figured out what was going on, I asked the lady to look into it, because I'm like, I'm not paying this back. Like, if she did something to get their benefits turned back on, I'm not going to be responsible for that, nor should my kid have to pay for that. So she's looking through the records, and she leaves. I guess she goes to ask somebody a question or something, and her demeanor changed, and she was like, no, this is not coming back from this. It was from you. You received the payment. Da 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 da. So I was like, no, I didn't. I didn't receive anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, this is the only bank account you got. It's tied to your name. I said, well, again, ma'am, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything about an overpayment, and I didn't receive anything about an overpayment. So therefore, I don't know what you're talking about. So I said, is there somebody else that I can talk to? No, there ain't nobody else. You can't talk to nobody. And I mean, this lady literally took the paperwork that she had that was supposed to be for me and threw it to where it went up underneath the desk. So, mind you, I'm not being belligerent. I'm not cursing. I'm not doing any of that. I'm still asking to speak to somebody else. No, you can't speak to nobody else. You can't do anything. And I'm telling you, even the security guard was where he needed to be. And I know my rights. I've been dealing with Social Security for some years now. And when you're not getting what you need to have, you can file. And I'm saying this for educational purposes for those that may have been mistreated, that is disabled. Hopefully you can still hear me. That was my reminder to go ahead and take some more of my shake. However, you do have a right. They do have a office manager, and you can also call it a 1-800 number to file grievances on how you are being treated in these offices. So I want you all to first and foremost know that. So the security guard went ahead, came over to see what I wanted, even though he heard the whole thing, and asked me what I wanted, and he went and got the person that was in charge. So that person came over. We explained what was going on, or she tried to explain as best as could, and yes, she got it, this, that, and the other. And so when he started looking into it, I'm going to tell you what it is. And this may have happened to other people. During the course of time that he was getting Social Security and he was eligible for Social Security, there were times where I worked at Macy's as a manager. I worked at Synchrony's as a senior fraud agent. And I forgot what other job that I was working in between there, where I was making a little bit of money, a little bit more money. So at that time, they said that my scale had adjusted and there was an overpayment. However, they were supposed to have put me on a P plan, and within that P plan, they was taking out a certain amount from his benefits to go towards whatever that overpayment was. So because he is no longer receiving Social Security, now mind you, there was also a glitch nationwide in the system that was having people who were current and past on disability showing a large sum of a overpayment that was due at that time. I'm going to have to do a part 4. I'm so sorry because this thing is going to end up going over. But anyway, to make the long story short, I'll try to finish it as best as I can or sum it up. We found out that that's where it was stemming from, the simple fact that the P plans, which data cannot see in Florence because they were not set up in Florence, because at the time I was residing in Charlotte, North Carolina, that once they became disabled, or once they became where they was not receiving benefits anymore,